Hey guys, so I'm really excited to be doing this video because it's been a while since I've done any type of budgeting video on my channel. But nevertheless, budgeting is something that I think is really essential to good financial management. And so I thought it was about time that I do another video on budgeting. So budgeting is something that I personally do on a monthly basis without fail. It's not up for negotiation for me because it really has allowed me to tailor my life according to what's important to me and make sure that my money goes to its respective places. Now, a lot of people see budgets as restrictive. They see it as something that's maybe outdated and boring. But when you have money allocated to specific areas, it gives you the ability to spend money without any guilt because it's already allocated to a specific area. So in today's video, I'm actually going to go through a budget of a median income in the UK for 2020, which was around £31,000. And in terms of budgeting, I'm going to be using the zero-based budget method, which is what I personally use. And that just means that every penny, every pound has a place that it's allocated to. But of course, as this is just a random number that I'm picking, I'm going to make a few assumptions. I'm going to assume that this person has a partner, so they're splitting all their bills in half. But I'm also going to assume that they have debt that they have to pay because the majority of people in the UK do have debt. So that's going to take up about 10% of their monthly income. So keep those things in mind, but the real goal of this video is to just give you an idea if budgeting is not something that you do on a regular basis, to give you an idea of what it looks like, how you can do it, and how it can actually be a lot more liberating than you may think. So you should now be able to see my spreadsheet. So this is a spreadsheet that I use on a monthly basis. I also have it available on Etsy if you are not a spreadsheet person. It's up for £2.40, so it's affordable, but let's start going through this spreadsheet. So as I said, this is assuming that this person has a median average income of around £31,000 per year, which is equivalent to a take-home pay of £2,016 per month. But because I really believe in pensions, and I hope that everyone is paying into their pension, this is the take-home pay after they're contributing 4% of their gross salary towards pension. So it's calculated the total income, and we're not going to assume any additional income for this. And so we are at £2,016 take-home pay every month. Maybe a £40 charity donation is what they give. So we can see that that is the blue bar over here. But if we go over here to this other column, the total expenses column, we can see that £40 is equivalent to just under 2% of their total income. And we can see that there is £1,976 left for the month. Now, the median monthly rent in this country is around £700, which seems really low as someone who lives in the southeast of England. That seems really low to me, but I'm going to go with those numbers. So as I said, I'm assuming that the bills are split in half with this person's partner or roommate or whatever it may be. So £700 split in two is £350. Council tax we're going to assume is around £100–120 per month. So let's say maybe £60 is this person's share. Same with utilities, and when I say utilities, I'm talking about gas, electric, water, sewage, and so again, maybe around £120 per month, so £60 for utilities when it's split in half. Broadband and TV is pretty standard throughout the country. Let's say maybe £35, and that's not including any Sky Sports or anything like that. So that would be about £17.50 per month. Also, I'm really curious if any of these numbers seem realistic to what you're currently paying, if it seems lower, if it seems higher. I'm really curious to know where you are in the country and how these averages kind of stack up against what you're used to. So TV license, again, is pretty standard across the country, around £13–14. So we're just going to say £7 per month. And so far, the utilities come to a grand total of £494.50 per month, which is equivalent to about 24% of this person's income. Now that generally is quite standard, that percentage. This is not including food. So once we include food, that will bump it up a bit, but generally they say that your household expenses should be around the 30% region in order to leave a bit of room in your budget each month. Now, investment and savings. So this would be a nice to have. So we're going to assume that this person does want to build up an emergency fund and also wants to invest a bit per month. So let's see how things pan out if this person puts away £150 per month towards their emergency fund and maybe £150 per month into their investments. So that takes investment and savings to a grand total of £300 per month, and that's just under 15% of their total income, which is a good amount of money because some of the guidelines or recommendations is that you should be saving about 10% of your income every month. So 15% is a good amount to aim for. But then if you're someone who's interested in the FIRE movement, for instance, then 15% would be considered a bit on the low side. So it really depends on what you're looking to do. Now, let's move over to debt and repayments. So as I said at the beginning, we're going to assume that this person pays about 10% of their net pay towards their debt. So that's about £200 per month. So we're going to say, for instance, this person puts £100 towards their credit cards each month, and they've got a personal loan, which is about £100 per month. So that's £200 per month and just under 10% of their total income. We can see currently that the total expenses so far are 51%, and they currently have about 49% of their income left to spend, which is equivalent to £981. So let's see how we get on. Now for food shop. This can really vary a lot, but I think a safe number to say for a household of 2 people, so this person's living with their partner, is around £50 to £60 per month. So if their food shop is £200 per month, that would mean £100 each per month for food. Restaurant and takeaways, maybe some see it as a luxury, but realistically, people do go out to eat or have a takeaway once in a while. So I think it's really important to include in your budget and to be realistic with yourself that you're going to spend this money. So let's say £50 per month is what they spend, so £25 each. Now, work lunches is one of those tricky ones to gauge because it can be a lot of money or it can be very minimal depending on if you bring food to work every day or not. But if you were to spend £5 a day, 5 days a week, and you were to do that for the entire month, that's £100 per month. So let's just assume that this person buys out lunch every day for around £5. Maybe they pick up a coffee or something, but that's about £100 per month. So now we can see that the grocery and food bill every month is around 11%. And that's £225. So we've got £756 left in this budget, which seems pretty good. I'm curious to see how it's going to pan out throughout the rest, but let's keep going. So for miscellaneous, we've got mobile phone, fun money, Spotify, Netflix, clothing, gym membership, all those extra things that are, I would say, nice to haves. Maybe not a mobile phone, I feel like that's an essential nowadays, but the rest of the things you could technically live without and scrimp on if your budget was a bit tighter. So mobile phone plan, let's just assume £40 per month, which is generally the average unless you already have paid your phone in full and you're paying for SIM only, then you can probably get that down to about £10 or £15 per month. But if you're paying for your phone on a monthly basis, you're probably paying around £40 to £50 per month. Fun money. Now, I think this is an essential part of a budget personally for me. I never negotiate on this because what's the point of life if you're not having fun along the way? So how much fun money you decide to spend, of course, is very dependent on the person. I'm going to budget for this person about £50 per week for fun money. Now that could seem really high to some people, but that could also seem really low to some people. So that would be about £200 per month on fun money. That could include meeting up with your friends and doing something, going to the cinema, going bowling, whatever it is you want to put in that category. But let's just assume that's £200 per month. But obviously I have a separate budget for restaurant and takeaway and fun money. So there could be a bit of overlap here. And if you were to get this spreadsheet, for instance, you can change any of these categories. If this wasn't relevant for you, you could delete it and put it under fun money, but it really depends on how you like to structure your own budget. Spotify, again, a nice to have. Maybe it's Amazon for you or something else, but Spotify is around £13 per month. Netflix, I think, is £9 per month. Clothing, don't know how much people spend on clothing every month. This is very dependent, but let's just assume £30 per month. Gym membership, you can spend as little as £20 per month, sometimes even less than that. Self-care can again go all the way up or can be a small amount of money, but I think it is quite nice to have a bit of money for self-care. Now, under this, it could be something like going to get your hair done, your nails done, but it could also just be something like buying a book for yourself or something that's kind of helping you with your mental health, taking a day out, whatever it may be. So let's assume maybe £40 per month specifically to self-care. So for miscellaneous, we are currently at a grand total of £342, and that's really mostly taken up by that fun money, and that is about 16% or just under 17% of this person's budget. So we're left with £414 currently, and I guess we can see if this miscellaneous category needs to go down any. Now for insurances, of course, I think this is a really important category. It's really important to have insurances in place because you never know what could happen. So again, of course, this is dependent on your area, your age, your region, the type of car you drive. This can really vary, but I'm just going to use roughly the area that I live in and what that would cost in terms of car insurance. So we're just going to say about £50 per month, which again could be very low depending on where you live. House insurance, we're going to assume they split this bill, so maybe around £12 per month. Life insurance, depending on how old you are, but for me it's around £10 per month. And mobile insurance, again, is around £10 per month. We also may have some kind of disability insurance here or income protection. So we can just assume that they have another type of insurance, which is about £20 per month, which takes us to a grand total of £102 for insurance, which is about 5% of their total income. So we've got £312 left. I think we're doing pretty well, and I think we're going to make this budget work. So transport. This, of course, depends on whether you drive a car or you only use public transport. So I think for this example, we're going to assume that this person has a car and maybe spends £100 per month on fuel. Road tax really can depend on your car, but let's say £25 per month. MOT. Now, this is obviously done once a year, but I really enjoy having Monzo pots so that you can split out money for these yearly expenses. So personally for me, I have different Monzo pots which help me to pay for things annually, which often is cheaper. So we're just going to assume that this person puts £20 per month into this Monzo pot, so that when they have their yearly MOT, they just are able to take that lump sum money out and pay it all in full. Now, if this person is driving, how much public transport are they using? It can really depend, but let's just put it at a nice £100 because public transport in England is not cheap. So now we are at £245 for transport, which is 12.15% of their income, and we're left with £67. What do we have left? So we have birthdays fund, holiday fund, Christmas fund, and other. So again, for me personally, this life events fund is really important because it's really nice to have a pot of money that's already there for things like birthdays and Christmases and holidays. So let's be a bit realistic here. Holidays fund, you're not really going to have much for a holiday, but let's assume £15 for birthdays fund. Let's assume £20 for Christmas fund, which leaves us with £32.50 a month. So if we put £20 a month for a holiday fund, then you're not really going to have much of a holiday. So this is where something in the budget would have to give a little bit, because I think that this last category of other is actually really important. So these are optional things where you could fill in things that may be relevant to your life. So of course, if you have a child and you have childcare, there's pretty much no room in this current budget for childcare. So if that was relevant to you, you could put childcare here. If you're saving for something specific outside of an emergency fund, you could put that here. But I also think it's actually quite nice to have maybe £100–150 buffer each month. But if we were to do that, then we would go over our budget. by £137 per month. So we're not going to do that. So looking at this budget, I actually think the miscellaneous category is way too big. So nearly 17% is probably not ideal. So for this type of budget, I think the fund money may have to go down. We may have to take that down to about £120 per month. And now we've got an extra £80 per month that can go towards something else. We may also need to decrease the emergency fund a little. So from 150, we can maybe take that down to 100, which takes us to 12.4%, which is still a good amount. It's still above that 10% that's recommended, but that now frees up £130 per month. So let's go back to the holiday fund. Maybe let's boost that back up to £100, which is a bit more realistic. Now we have £50 left, and we can add that towards the miscellaneous extra fund. So let's maybe say household extras, for instance. So now again, we're back to the zero-based budget. So we've just shifted things around a little bit so that there's a bit more room for extras that may pop up, but we also still have a good amount of investment and savings each month, but we also have some more money under the life events fund. So now let's take a look at how these percentages of this budget matches up with specific budget guidelines. So on this spreadsheet, the last tab, we've got some budget guidelines which include the 50-30-20 rule, which is 50% of your income goes towards your needs, 30% to wants, and 20% to savings and debt. So if we look at this and say 50% of needs, which is housing, utilities, groceries, insurance, and transport, how do we match up? And this was just all randomly done, by the way. There was no pre-calculation of this. So let's see, we've got 24.5% towards housing and utilities. We've got 9.92% towards debt and repayment, 11.16% towards groceries and food, and insurances are 5.06%. So that is equivalent to 52.87% of their income. So that's pretty close to the 50-30-20 budget. Now let's see in terms of wants how close we are. So wants include non-essential shopping, eating out, hobbies, recreational activities, gift giving, pampering, and any luxuries. So wants include the miscellaneous, which is at 13%. And then we've got the life events fund, which is at 6.7%. And maybe we could say other, which is currently at 3.1%. So that's 22.8%. So maybe that's a little on the low side for wants. Maybe we do need to work a way to increase fund money, but it's not so far off. So again, it says 30% towards wants. This is 22.8%. So you could consider maybe ways to increase that. And then lastly, we've got 20% of income towards debt and savings. And we can see by this budget, we've got currently just under 10% towards debt. And then we have 12.4% towards investments and savings. So that is at 22.32%. So this is just over the 20% for the debt and savings. So this maybe you could decrease by 2% and add an extra 2% towards the wants category to increase that a little bit. But you start to see how you can jig around your budget to fit your lifestyle. But not only that, sometimes these guidelines are just a really good way for you to assess where you are with your budget. Are you way over in terms of your essentials? Is there something that you need to consider cutting back on? But also then you can take a look at wants, and it's really important that you have wants in life. Are you spending way too much on wants? Is 50% of your income going towards your wants? If so, it's probably time to tailor that down. And even towards debt and savings. If you're paying 30% of your income per month towards debt, for instance, that may be something that's okay for the current moment because you're trying to slash down your debt, but it shows you that your debt is currently kind of out of whack in terms of your income, and how can you over the long term get those debt repayments down and hopefully to zero eventually. So I really hope you found this video useful in terms of how you can budget. As you can see, it doesn't have to take hours to do that, especially once you have a good spreadsheet. you can just plug in the numbers and kind of assess where things are going in your budget, what needs to be changed, what's working, what's not working. And again, it really has to be personal to you. So these are all random numbers that I have just done for this exercise to show how it could look. But I hope this is just giving you some ideas of how you can budget and how useful it can be in terms of aligning your life goals to fit your finances. Thank you so much for watching today. Don't forget to leave me a comment down below and also like this video and subscribe if you're not already subscribed. And I look forward to seeing you in the next video real soon.